Video games are full of choices. Most show up with a dialogue box, a flashing button, maybe a timer on screen. The game makes sure you know a decision is happening. But some choices, the game never says a word. They just happen quietly.
But one day we'll come back. Goodbye, my friend.
And they end up mattering more than any warning ever could. Now, let's talk about 10 secret choices most players completely missed in video games. Number 10, Far Cry 4. This one right here, man. One of the best kept secrets in Far Cry 4 starts literally within the first 5 minutes. You get captured immediately by pagan men, flamboyant, terrifying, completely in control, sit you down at a dinner table.
I was speaking to the first guy, then I would say, sit down.
There's Crab Rangoon. There's a whole mood. And then he excuses himself, tells you to stay put, and walks away. Now, every single instinct you have as a gamer is telling you to run. That's what the whole game is built around. The entire opening tutorial assumes you're going to bolt the second he leaves. So you do. Almost everybody does. But here's the amazing thing almost nobody knows. If you just listen to the guy, sit at that table and wait roughly 13 to 15 minutes in real time, he actually comes back, genuinely happy you stayed. And instead of a whole revolution, instead of an entire open world game liberating Kyrat, he personally takes you to scatter your mother's ashes.
Now your mother on the other hand, she understood me.
Which, by the way, is literally the entire reason your character came to Kyrat in the first place. Credits roll, song plays, game over. You just finished the whole thing before most players even found their first outpost. I mean, come on. Pagan men told you exactly what to do. Most players just ignored him. The game built this whole open world shooter assuming you'd run, and the reward for doing absolutely nothing is one of the most unexpectedly quiet endings in modern gaming. Even the developers were caught off guard. And honestly, that says everything. Number 9, Mass Effect 2. Now we've got one that still makes people angry to this day. Mass Effect 2 was honestly one of the best games ever made, and a big reason is just how heavy every decision feels. But there is this one trap the game sets that nobody sees coming, and it doesn't just sting. It straight up devastates you. Near the end, the collectors raid your ship and kidnap most of your crew. People you've spent the entire game building real relationships with. Then, they're gone. Game tells you hurry. Characters say time is critical. Here's the problem. Every RPG ever has trained you to ignore urgency, right? The clock is always fake. World freezes, you do side quests, nothing bad happens. So naturally you think, let me finish loyalty missions first, then save everyone. Makes sense. That instinct gets your entire crew killed. Like all of them. Mass Effect 2 actually means it when it says hurry. Wait too long, and by the time you reach the collector base, your crew has been converted into biological paste. Already gone. The game never puts a visible countdown on screen. It just quietly remembers how long you took. What makes it worse is the game had been telling you the whole time to complete loyalty missions before the final run. So you're caught between two urgent things with no idea one has a real deadline. Most people found this out after the fact. First playthrough. Zero way to undo it. That's rough, man. Number 8, Cyberpunk 2077. So most of the endings in this one are, reasonably accessible. You make certain decisions, build certain alliances, the game kind of guides you toward different conclusions. Pretty standard big RPG stuff. But then there's one ending that exists completely outside of all that. One the game never tells you about, never signals, never hints at. Nothing. The Don't Fear the Reaper ending. To even see the option, you have to build your relationship with Johnny Silverhand to a very specific threshold through a series of conversations and decisions scattered across the entire game. Miss even one of those hidden triggers, which the game never marks as important, and the option just doesn't appear. You finish through one of the other paths and you never know this conclusion existed. That's it. And if you find the option and choose it, game immediately throws you into one of the most difficult sequences in the whole experience. No checkpoint, no warning whatsoever. If your character isn't built for it, you're going to die. Quickly, repeatedly. No heads up that any of this was coming. Millions of players completed Cyberpunk 2077 and never ran into this ending. The ones who found it either stumbled onto it by obsessively chasing every single Johnny conversation, or found out online because someone else discovered it first and posted about it in complete disbelief. CD Projekt Red built this entire secret conclusion and hid it so thoroughly that it's still one of the most talked about discoveries in the game years later. There's bold design. And then there's this. Number 7 Metro, Last Light. And honestly, this might be the sneakiest one on the entire list. Metro, Last Light looks like a pretty straightforward post-apocalyptic shooter on the surface. You navigate tunnels under Moscow, shoot mutants, survive. It's atmospheric, tense, and a really great game. But underneath, there's a system the game never tells you about. A moral tracking mechanic that quietly watches every small decision and says nothing. Not the big moments, not dramatic story stuff, the small quiet ones. Like taking time to listen to NPC conversations instead of walking past them, knocking out soldiers when you could just shoot them, saving prisoners you have no reason to save, giving money to beggars when the option pops up. No morality bar, no karma counter, nothing hinting any of this is recorded, but the game is watching all of it. You know, accumulate enough of those small merciful moments and you unlock the redemption ending, a completely different conclusion most players never see. The default ending is bleak and sad. The redemption ending is much closer to hope. The only way to get there is having quietly been a decent person the whole time, without ever being told it would matter. The craziest part is that plenty of players finish Metro, Last Light, get the dark ending, and just assume that's the story. They never realize another ending exists, never know they were being graded the whole time. And that's a bold design decision, man. It works exactly because it stays completely invisible. Number 6, Spec Ops, The Line. The most uncomfortable games are the ones that know exactly what they are. And this one knows. A military shooter spending its entire runtime turning the crosshairs back at the player. So when it puts you in front of one of its most brutal moments, 2 men hanging from a rope, 1 soldier, 1 civilian, snipers ready to kill both if you don't pick one, it feels exactly like the forced impossible choice it looks like. The game tells you to choose. Pick someone to live. Let the other die. Snipers watching. Out of time. Almost every player does exactly what the game says, of course. But there's a third option. One the game never mentions. Shoot the rope. Not either person. Not the snipers. The rope. Both men survive. Snipers completely off guard, and that split second gives you just enough time to finish them. Finding this requires the kind of creative thinking most games never even ask of you. The whole setup is engineered to make you feel stuck with a forced binary. It takes genuine creative thinking, or honestly, a very specific kind of stubbornness to even think to try it. And even when you pull it off, this is still Spec Ops, The Line. Doesn't give you a clean conscience, but the fact that developers built in this third unspoken option and made it work, that's something else. It's the game quietly respecting players who refuse to accept an impossible choice at face value. And I genuinely love that about it. Number 5, The Witcher 2. Alright, Assassins of Kings is a game built around tough decisions, but nothing really prepares you for what happens at the end of Act 1. You've been through a brutal opening, met all the major players, and then the game drops this choice in your lap that looks like, on the surface, just a standard RPG faction decision. You know the kind. Geralt has to choose between siding with Vernon Roche, this no-nonsense military commander, or Eorveth, an elven rebel fighter, both morally complicated, both making reasonable arguments. It feels like the kind of thing where you pick a side, get some dialogue, and story continues the same way. It does not continue the same way at all. Depending on who you choose, Geralt gets sent to an entirely different region for the whole of Act 2. Different quests, different characters, different story reveals, different locations that literally don't exist on the other path. Roughly a third of the game's total content changes based on this one decision, and the game never once communicates how big that actually is. Not even a little bit. Most players just make the choice based on whoever they liked more in that moment, which is completely reasonable, you know, but they have no idea they're essentially choosing which version of the game they're about to play. Players who went with Roche never even met the characters from Iorveth's side. Players who followed Iorveth missed entire quest lines from Roche's path, and almost nobody figured this out on their first run. The choice is visible. What's completely invisible is just how much it actually changes everything. Number 4. Eiyuden Chronicle. This game, 100 Heroes, is basically a love letter to classic JRPG recruitment systems. Like the whole point is building your roster. It tells you up front there are 120 characters out there, go find them. It's a big number, but that's the game's whole identity. You explore, complete quests, recruit people, build your crew. That's the loop. What the game absolutely does not tell you is that falling short of that number has a direct consequence in the story, like a real one. Near the end, an assassin takes aim at one of your key allies during a critical moment, and if you've managed to recruit 119 available characters before this scene triggers, something completely unexpected happens. This secret character, Lean, the main character's own sister, appears out of nowhere to intercept the shot, deflect the assassination attempt, and joins your team then and there. But if you're even one character short of 119, Lean never shows up. The shot lands. One of your trusted companions dies permanently. The game gave you zero indication this was even a possibility. No checklist, no warning, absolutely nothing hinting that someone's survival is tied to your recruitment count. You're just playing the game at whatever pace feels natural, and then either a hero appears at the last second or a hero is just gone forever, based entirely on a background counter you probably weren't thinking about. For a game that makes recruiting its whole identity, hiding a companion's life behind recruitment numbers without telling a single person is honestly a brilliant move. Brutal, but brilliant. Number 3, Chrono Trigger. Now this one is a flat-out masterpiece from 1995 that people are still talking about today, and one of the biggest reasons is this sequence near the beginning that almost no first-time player is prepared for. It's called the Trial, one of the most quietly clever moments in gaming history. Big statement. Just hear me out. After the Millennial Fair, the cheerful opening where you're running around, talking to people, eating food, exploring stalls, Chrono gets arrested and put on trial for allegedly kidnapping the princess. Obviously, not guilty. Time to defend yourself. Except the trial doesn't care about your argument at all. The game goes back through everything you did at the fair. Did you eat the old man's lunch? Ignore the little girl whose cat was missing? Bump into Marl and not stop to talk? Every small, seemingly pointless thing from that opening was tracked silently the whole time. Now it's all evidence of who Chrono is as a person. Players who ran through the fair like a typical RPG protagonist, grabbing whatever was there, skipping conversations, moving fast, get absolutely destroyed in court. Players who slowed down, helped people, acted decently do significantly better. The outcome doesn't change much. You escape prison either way, but the first time the game calls out your behavior to your face, it's genuinely shocking, man. And the fact that a 1995 SNES game was doing this kind of invisible behavioral tracking before most modern games ever attempted it, that says everything about why we're still talking about it decades later. Number 2, Silent Hill 2. I gotta be honest with you, this one genuinely messes with your head. Silent Hill 2 is a horror game built entirely around guilt, grief, and the weight of things you carry without naming them. And it's poetic that its ending system works in exactly the same way, quietly tracking behavior you didn't know was being watched and delivering consequences you don't understand until it's over. The game has multiple endings. Leave and Water and Maria are the main three on a first playthrough. None unlock through any obvious decision point. No moment where a menu pops up saying choose your ending. Instead, this invisible scoring system runs your entire playthrough, watching habits and behaviors that seem unrelated to the story. To get the Leave ending, keep James healthy and move with purpose, like someone who wants to get out. To get the In Water ending, the darkest one, let your health stay low. Examine Angela's knife in your inventory. Linger. Move slow. Behave like someone without hope. The game reads all of that as a reflection of James's state and gives you the ending matching how you played. The Maria ending is the hardest to get deliberately. Stay close to Maria, don't let her take damage, devotion expressed entirely through movement, not dialogue. None of this is explained anywhere in the game. Players only started understanding the system after serious community research, comparing notes across hundreds of playthroughs. Silent Hill 2 looks at how you play and tells you something about yourself. And that is what makes it absolutely unforgettable. Number 1, Red Dead Redemption 2. 60 hours. That's how long this game watches you before it shows you what you actually did. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a 60-plus hour game about a man running out of time. Now the honor system is technically visible. There's a meter. You know it's there. The game doesn't fully hide the mechanic or anything, but what almost every player misses until the very end is just how deeply and permanently it shapes Arthur's entire final arc, not just a cutscene or two. The emotional texture of everything in those final chapters. High honor Arthur faces his death with quiet dignity. You know, he watches a sunrise. There's this sense of peace in how it all comes together. Characters treat him differently. Low honor Arthur gets something much darker. The tone of the whole conclusion shifts entirely based on who you chose to be over the entire journey, and I don't think a lot of players fully realize that until it's too late. But here's what makes it genuinely remarkable. The honor system is responding to things players do reflexively, without thinking. Stopping to help a stranger on a road you didn't even need to take. Deciding in a split second whether to loot a body after a fight. How you respond when some guy at a saloon disrespects you. Thousands of small, unannounced moments that just feel like atmosphere, like world texture, are quietly building the permanent record of who Arthur Morgan is as a person. Most players only understand this after the game ends. They look back at a stranger they helped in Chapter 2, a debt they didn't collect in Chapter 4, a fight they walked away from in Chapter 5, and they realize those weren't just ambient details. They were choices. They mattered. They built the man who either watched that final sunrise with peace or didn't. And I mean, no game has ever made invisible choices feel that permanent. No entry on this list deserves the top spot more than this one. And that's all for today. Let us know in the comments which one hit you hardest. If you like this video, subscribe. We upload every single day. We'll see you next time.